Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Early Edge. Happy Tuesday. We are brought to you by BetMGM. Make it legendary. We've got a recap screen to get to, and then we've got a huge and awesome cast to cover your Tuesday slate. Let's look at the recap screen. As I see, EC is already in the chat. I wonder if he's on this show. We go 2-1. Buckets goes 1 for 2. One of our picks is void. And then Bruce Marshall hits Minnesota Timberwolves -7.5. So a short recap screen. We still have Mike McClure's pick pending, I believe. So that'll show up on tomorrow's recap screen. But let's see who's going to show up on this screen that you're looking at right now. Ladies and gentlemen, check out this cast. Tom Casale, Jeff Hochman, Eric Cohen, and Larry Hartstein. Wow. Here's where I'm going to start, EC. I'm starting with you because somehow you got this chat to all become Arizona Wildcat fans. That's all I see in the chat. Arizona over BYU yesterday. Your reaction?
You know, Sia, I know you like to give me grief about my Wildcats being soft, but this year's team isn't it. Now, I want to give credit to Tom because he picked Arizona to win yesterday. I thought it was a bad spot for them on the road in Provo. They got it done. The officiating was crooked at the end. Arizona couldn't make free throws at the end. But 21-0, Sia, is 21-0, and we're going to celebrate, hopefully, in April when Arizona makes the Final Four, wins the national championship, and wins me boatloads of money.
Yeah, they'll be out in the Elite Eight. That's going to be my early prediction. Jeff Hochman, can you give me an early prediction on where you think this line is at for the Super Bowl? It's 4.5. Larry and I talked about it yesterday on CBS Sports Network. By the way, that version of the show is already on the SportsLine YouTube channel. Your reaction to the 4.5, Jeff?
Well, I wrote an article for CBS Sports before the championship games, previewing the 4 potential Super Bowl matchups. I made Seattle 4.5 when the look line was Seattle -3.5. So I think Seattle's going to win the game. I truly believe that. The spread wise, I'm not sure. However, the spread normally does not come into factor with the Super Bowl. Only 7 Super Bowl favorites have won but not covered. The last to do it was the Rams in Super Bowl 56. Usually, if you like the underdog, you bet the underdog on the money line. And if you like the favorite, they usually cover. 4 is such a key number, though. You know, 4.5. I'm not going to put it in right now. I'm hoping it goes down to 4. The public is coming in on the Patriots. But, yeah, you know, you look, I mean, there's only since 2000, only 4 teams have won the Super Bowl with a negative sack differential. Baltimore in 2000, they were -8. The Pats in 2001, they were -5. The Rams in 2012, -1. And last year's Philadelphia Eagles, they were -3. So, you know, Seattle's sack differential is +20. New England's -13. So I'm fairly confident Seattle's going to win this game. They have a historically high, total DVOA, special teams. I don't see a weakness on this team. I don't see how New England's going to be able to move the ball consistently. So I really like Seattle. I'm probably just going to bite the bullet, put Seattle in at -4.5 if it doesn't go down to 4.
Larry, I asked Jeff Hochman a simple question, and he gives me an encyclopedic response. I mean, this guy's all over the SportsLine Discord. How can you not take advantage of this show, SportsLine, and the SportsLine Discord? Larry, your reaction to anything that Jeff said?
Well, the biggest bet so far has come in on New England money line at circa $1 million at nearly 2-1. It'll pay about $3 million, total. That person will get back $3 million. And what's cool is there's so much money in this market. Jeff Benson said he only moved the money line 8 cents. He went from +188 to +180, which is just kind of an indicator of how many millions and millions are going to be bet.
All right. Well, we've got what feels like millions of college basketball picks on this show. Apparently, it's College Basketball Tuesday. It's also Talk Back Tuesday. So if you have basketball questions, NFL questions, NHL questions, we got Jeff Hochman in here for that. Any question you got, we're going to go ahead and answer it. But I'll tell you what, Tom, I'd like to start with you. We started talking a little NFL. I know you've got an NFL prop already, but you've also got your own college basketball pick. So kick us off with Bama and then eventually get us to Hunter Henry.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking at this Alabama-Missouri game, and, full disclosure, these are probably the 2 teams, their games are what I bet the most over the last 2 years. Those 2 teams I have a pretty good feel for. So this is one of the few times you're not getting a ton of value on the line here. Alabama's 10.5. But when I'm looking at Alabama, you look at their last game against Tennessee. Okay, why'd they lose? There's two teams in the SEC that give Alabama problems, Florida and Tennessee. Why? They kill them on the offensive glass. That's how you're going to beat Alabama. You're going to bully them down low. The other thing is Aiden Holloway didn't play. He averages 17 points. Alabama really hasn't been healthy for a couple of months. And this tonight is going to be about as healthy as they've been in a while. Holloway's projected to be back. He wasn't on the injury report. And whatever you think about Charles Bediako, he is playing tonight. So that's all that matters to me. And you look at this Missouri team, they struggle to guard the perimeter. You're going to Alabama. They're 3-3. This is a big game for them. If those threes are falling early, I think this game is going to get ugly. I don't know if Missouri, I mentioned this a couple weeks ago when I took Alabama against Mississippi State. I don't know if Missouri is the type of team that can bother Alabama with the things they struggle with. So I like Alabama to pull away in this game in the second half and cover the 10.5.
All right. We got Alabama minus 10.5. And it's interesting because neither you nor Larry knew this, but you both came with Hunter Henry props. So now, Larry, I know you've got an NBA prop as well, but Tom, talk to me about Hunter Henry and his receiving yards.
So when the NFC Championship game was on, I was looking at potential matchups either way for the Rams and Seahawks against the Patriots. And the Seahawks defense is tough. We all know that. How do you move the ball against them? The one area where they're not great is defending the tight end. They've given up the sixth most yards to tight ends during the regular season at average about 63 yards. You look at their playoff performances, they've given up about that average. Tunges for the 49ers got 59. Colby Parkinson for the Rams got 62. So you look at the Patriots, how are they going to move the ball? I look at two things. You're going to look at Drake May trying to create plays, taking off. I don't think they're going to have a lot of success on the outsides, and then attacking the tight ends. And someone who's had Hunter Henry in a couple of fantasy leagues this year, if you had him, he kind of goes by the matchup, right? Like if he's got a good matchup, he usually has a pretty good game. If he plays a team that defends tight ends well, he doesn't do much. So I'm looking for him to catch about 3 or 4 balls in this game, and I think he's going to get over this 37.5. I think that's going to go above 40 before we get to game time.
All right. And Larry, again, you're going to give out your NBA pick later on in the show, but I feel like you have to give out your Hunter Henry pick because these are very much correlated. Talk to me.
What Tom just said really struck a chord about how matchup dependent Hunter Henry is, because if you look at the top 7 tight end pass funnels in the league, this will be the 4th one that Hunter Henry is facing. The other 3, he had 5 catches, he had 7 catches, and he had 8 catches in those matchups. And if you look at, CBS or any site that will show you which team has given up the most targets to tight ends, you'll look at Seattle and you'll see they're number 6. They're high. But if you look at target share, which to me is more important, they are number 1. They are the number 1 tight end pass funnel. Why? Because their secondary is so good. They blanket the receivers. They shut down the run. Where are you going to go? You're going to go to the tight end. I love Hunter Henry. I like Tom's play a lot. I like the volume here of at least getting to 4 catches.
All right. And we've got another pick coming from Larry later on in this show, and it's involving one of I'm claiming them, Washington Wizards. One of the better Washington Wizards. I actually think this team's going to be good in a couple years, but not putting any money on that. EC, I'm going to put money maybe if the analysis is good here. You've got a couple of picks, and actually these are very obscure teams, which I absolutely love. I feel like it's already sharp. Talk to me about an over that you like, and then you've also got a money line parlay.
Sia, this is like my early edge in 5 days when I would come on and just drop these random teams. So I figured I had to bring it back for early edge. Let's go to an afternoon matinee of Northwestern State and Stephen F. Austin. I know Casale will be watching this one. Going the over 143.5. So Stephen F. Austin's averaging 79 points a game, and they've scored 79 or more in 4 of their last 5. That's great. And Northwestern State gives up more than 77 points per game. But here's the angle here. So they played on New Year's Eve, and Stephen F. Austin won the game 74-64, and the total was 138.5. I haven't really found any interesting trends. I mean, Stephen F. Austin's kind of doing their thing since then, but why has the total jumped 5 points? The odds makers are trying to tell us something. At least that's the way that I'm going to believe. So give me the over 143.5 in this game. I think Northwestern State gets somewhere in the mid-60s, and Stephen F. Austin is in the low 80s. It's going to be a blowout, but I see this one in the upper 140s. Let's give it a shot at 143.5. And then, Sia, I have to come on the show and give a parlay of some kind. I'm going UCF, Kent State, and Illinois Chicago at even money. So ASU in 3 Big 12 road games has lost by a combined 65 points. They're not going to fare much better on the road at Central Florida. And by the way, they play my Arizona Wildcats on Saturday. So will they be caught looking ahead again? We'll see. So I'm going with Kent State. They are over Ohio. They're 85 spots ahead of them in Ken Palm and playing at home. So that seems like a nice one to add there. And Illinois Chicago's on a 6-game winning streak and 75 spots ahead of Indiana State in Ken Palm. So give me those 3, UCF, Kent State, and UIC at even money for a little Tuesday evening parlay.
Now, we've got a lot of college basketball questions in the chat, which we are going to get to in a few minutes. Jeff Hochman, you have a college basketball pick as well. I do want to note, and maybe you said this, but the Northwestern State Stephen F. Austin game is at 4 o'clock today, Eastern time. So if you're trying to get that bet in, get it in early. I love that you brought some late afternoon action. It reminds me, EC, of like baseball season coming around the corner, but we're going to have AMAGs and Sniper, and we're going to have afternoon baseball. That's going to be really fun. And real quick, EC, you're going to be hosting the early wedge tonight for our next golf tournament, correct?
Yeah, it's the Farmers Insurance Open at one of my favorite tracks, Torrey Pines. I was just out there a few weeks ago, so saw the track a little bit. But Sia, disappointing that you will not be on the show tentatively as it seems now. So it'll be me and Patrick McDonald and Jason Sobel. Very excited, but you will have picks for us, and you will have some more picks, I believe, on this show as well.
Yeah, so I gave out a couple of outrights yesterday. Ryan Gerard at 52-1 and Taylor Pendrith at 40-1. I partly gave them out on a Monday because I knew those numbers would move. You can't find Gerard at 52-1 anymore. 45-1 or shorter. You pretty much can't find. I don't think you can find Pendrith at 40-1. That's in the 35 to 37-1 range at this point. So if you got those picks in early, you got the best number for sure. I will say, because I'm traveling to Florida, I'll be doing some studio shows over the next few days. I won't be on the show tonight unless my flight gets canceled, which is actually possible.
I'm rooting for the flight to get canceled. Hey, C, I want to throw out one other thing. Speaking of odds, on DK yesterday, they opened with Brooks Koepka around 55-1 in the full outright market. In the without market to open, he was 68-1. So sometimes there are some mismatches. You want to take a look. Always, you and I love to play the without market. Always look at those to try to find, especially early on Monday morning, if there are some odds discrepancies.
That's a great call, actually. And it's such a great transition. You don't know this, but I did give out those 2 outrights yesterday on the early edge. And I will have picks on the early wedge. I'll have first round leaders. Hopefully that market comes out. It's not quite out yet because we have split courses again. It gets kind of finicky, particularly when you're on the West Coast. I'm going to give out a long shot. And here's the thing about this long shot. You don't have to bet it, but it's a fun bet because it's 165-1. And I do think you need to contemplate some of these long shots when more markets populate, like matchups and top 40s and top 20s, which are already out. You can consider some of these long shots in those markets as well. So I just want to put this name on your radar. Austin Smotherman at 165-1. This number is without the big 5. So it's the without market, but it's not your typical without Scotty Scheffler, who, oh, by the way, isn't in this tournament. The without market is with Ludwig, Xander, Siwoo, Cantley, and Cam Young. So we're taking them out of it, and we're still getting 165-1, which is why I like this particular without market with Austin Smotherman, because the number is still incredibly high. So Smotherman, you might recall, we had a round matchup on him last week against Neil Shipley, and he won extremely convincingly. He's not exactly a great golfer, but he's been around for a while on the PGA Tour, on the Korn Ferry Tour. And I've noticed over the last couple of tournaments, he's popped a little bit. At the Sona, he actually missed the cut, but he missed the cut because his short game was pretty terrible. Now, you will need short game at Torrey Pines, but his short game metrics long-term really aren't that bad. And what I like about him 2 weeks ago and what I liked about him last week finishing inside the top 10 is that his ball striking is really good right now. Now that could fade. There's a reason this guy's 165-1 in the without market. He's like 200-1 in the regular market. And that's because he's not a great golfer necessarily. He's certainly not a consistent golfer, but I do think we might have him in a little bit of a zone where maybe we can take advantage of one more week with Austin Smotherman playing good golf. He actually does have decent history here as well. So all signs point to me, all signs point to, I should say, the fact that 165-1 in the without big 5 market is probably a little too long, actually a lot too long. But again, this is just a sprinkle play. We're not putting serious money on 165-1 shot, but we are considering him in, let's say, DFS. We're considering him in the top 40 market, which is in that plus, I think 200, 250, maybe 300 range. So those are the markets and matchup markets, which aren't out yet. We can consider him there as well. So there's a little bit of a golf pick. I'll have more golf picks that I'm going to put on the show that EC is hosting tonight right here at the SportsLine YouTube channel. We got to get to so many more picks. Jeff, we got to get to your picks. We got to get to some promos, which I'm going to read right now, and some NBA and NHL picks courtesy of SportsLine. So real quick, BetMGM players will receive a no-sweat bet to apply to any NBA wager today. That means even if your bet loses, you're still a winner because you'll receive bonus bets back only at BetMGM. How about a couple of SportsLine picks? Kenrick Williams over 15.5 points in rebounds at -115. That one from Prop Bet Guy. And Matt Severance is on the Florida Panthers money line -145. All right, we got to get to Jeff. We got to get to our NBA prop, and we got to get to your questions. I see Creighton. I see Arkansas. I see plenty of questions in there was one other big game tonight that we had a question on, and it's maybe Michigan State. I'll find it, and we'll talk about it right after this message from our partners.
This isn't just combat. It's cinema.
Ready or not, here I come. Let's go! Are you not entertained?
The new home of UFC, Paramount Plus.
We're back on the early edge, brought to you by BetMGM. Jeff Hochman. Maybe the big game I was thinking of was just a big team, and it's Michigan. So we already have Alabama. We're laying 10.5. Well, it turns out we're laying 10.5 somewhere else too.
Yeah, thanks, Sia. You know, a lot of people in the chat like Nebraska, so they're not going to like my selection. They like Nebraska on the money line. I don't see it. Michigan -10.5. It's currently -105 at BetMGM, so I would hop on that right now. Nebraska's non-conference schedule, strength of schedule is 299, so their record is really built on weak opponents. Yes, they're undefeated in the Big Ten, but they have benefited from a lot of close wins. They have a very high luck ranking per KenPom, number 33. They have 4 wins by 3 points or less. Now, Michigan's non-conference strength of schedule is 14th. They're second in KenPom with an adjusted efficiency margin nearly 8 points higher than Nebraska. To me, this gap signals a major mismatch. It's like a Final Four team against a Sweet 16 squad. Also, Michigan ranks second in 2-point offense and 2-point defense, and they've played the 7th hardest schedule so far. Nebraska, they are a poor offensive rebounding team, 17th in the Big Ten, 304th nationally. I think Michigan's going to dominate the paint with their big three, Mara, Johnson, and Lendenberg. And I think this is a huge market correction. On the road, Michigan's physicality and the Chrysler Center crowd, I think Nebraska faces a big-time market correction. I think this is a blowout loss for Nebraska. I say 83-68 Michigan, take it to the bank.
Oh man, I hope this lands 83-68. EC, I see you kind of nodding your head. What's your reaction?
Hochman's a genius. I love it. I think Nebraska's a fraud. I'm sick of these bandwagon Nebraska fans who don't care about basketball for the last 30 years come out of the woodwork, and I hope Michigan blows them out. It's a great pick, Hochman.
Thank you, Eric.
Tom, there's some picks in the chat, or there's some questions in the chat. Fresh Rock says, will Arkansas cover 2.5? Did you look at that one, Tom?
Yeah, this is a spot where you kind of want to take Oklahoma. There's 2 reasons why I wouldn't. One, the matchup is terrible for them. It's just a terrible matchup. The other thing is where is this team mentally now? They lose on 2 buzzer beaters by Missouri, one to put the game into overtime, one to win the game. Sometimes you get these teams and you don't know if there's going to be some changes there. Again, this would normally be a spot I would look to take the home dog, but nothing in this game favors Oklahoma other than they're playing at home.
All right, let's go to Larry. We're going to go to your NBA pick in a second, but did you have some follow-up there, Larry?
I just want to say I like the look from Jeff, but I wonder if he's worried the fact that Michigan has not covered 6 straight. Do you think that the line inflation now has finally gone away? Because they've been getting these huge lines and they just can't cover. They burned me on one of them where they were up about 18, 17, and then they finish at 15. So are you worried about that? 0-6 less.
I'm not worried. I know Michigan has Michigan State on deck. I just think the pressure of Nebraska being 20-0 is going to catch up to them in this game. I just love Michigan in this spot. -10.5. You think, an undefeated team getting 10.5 points? Wow. But again, the strength of schedule, I think Michigan dominates this game from beginning to end.
Yeah, I wonder, would a first half play be like, Larry? Are you alluding to maybe a first half play for Michigan since they've blown some covers?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I guess I was just feeling the sting of, when I had Michigan laying 15.5, they were covering pretty much the entire second half, and then it ends on 14. But this is a little bit lower at 10.5. Maybe you don't call off the dogs the same way.
All right, Jeff, I do have a follow-up question for you. Oh, this is 8.5 at MGM. Is that right? Oh, that's the first half. I'm sorry.
First half.
It's 6.5. My bad. Yeah, I mean, well, Jeff, real quick, since Ben has put it up for us, do you have any thoughts on Michigan minus 6.5 first half?
Oh, I like Michigan. Oh, absolutely, because I think they're going to come out strong in this one. And I just think that this is a complete mismatch. I know the records say otherwise, but I got to trust my numbers. My computer has it at a 15-point spread. So 83-68 is what it came out with.
Couple more questions for now, and then we'll finally get to that NBA bet that I've been teasing, Larry. Tom, Creighton minus 1.5. Did you get a look at that one?
Yeah, listen, I made a joke on Discord that I wouldn't bet Marquette unless I had one of those Back to the Future 2 books that Biff got that gave you the winners of all the next 20 years. They are terrible. They're not using NIL. They're not using transfers. They're basically the Clemson of college basketball, and it's just not working. I mean, if you're not going to use the rules to your advantage, then get out. Get a new coach. Get somebody in there, that's going to do this the right way. I just feel like the program is really down right now. So that's got to be Creighton. Creighton's not a great team, but that's got to be Creighton or nothing for me. I just can't trust Marquette right now.
Yeah, that sounds totally fair. Let's go to hockey real quick. Brad McDonald says Caps Kraken over 6 is minus 110. Notable over 5.5 is around minus 130. Jeff, any thoughts there on Caps Kraken over?
Yeah, I would lean that way. Both teams really don't have interest in playing defense right now. And Vegas money line minus 115. Yeah, I like that. Absolutely.
Vegas at Montreal tonight at 7:10. All right, let's talk about the Wizards. We've got an NBA prop courtesy of the Maestro.
Yeah, this one's a little juicy, but I still like it. Keyshawn George under 2.5 threes. The Blazers have been a pleasant surprise in many areas, and one area is how they defend the three-point line. They're top 10 in terms of not only percentage, but the fewest attempts that they give up from beyond the arc. And you look at Keyshawn George, very talented, very exciting player, but he's not shooting well. He's 2 for 10 in his last game from 3. If you look at this month, he's under 33%. He stayed under this in 6 of his last 7. So I like him to stay under it again in this matchup against the Blazers, who on paper, pretty good at getting out and defending that arc and not letting a lot of threes get up.
All right. Keyshawn George under 2.5 3-pointers at minus 146. So the YouTube comments, how they change the names and the handles? Is Fishhead Berg Bets? Does anybody know? I can't tell who is who now. Oh, it is. Okay. So Berg Bets is in the chat. Another college basketball guru, if you want to ask him any questions. EC, I didn't really give you a chance to respond to any of the college basketball. Were there any of those questions that you had some analysis on?
No games that, I was looking at it tonight. See, it was a tough slate for me to kind of come up with something. I'm going to stir up some parlays later for my own good. And I'm going to put them with the golf winners because, that's my other favorite thing to do. So I'll be putting together, Michigan will be in there. Alabama with what Tom said will be in there. Might have to throw in George, Larry's pick. And throw those 3 plus some golf winners. Throw in Smotherman, and we'll get 500 to 1 on that. And, everybody's happy with that.
You remind me that some books are now kind of respecting golf a little bit and giving boosts out. Now, granted, these parlay boosts are typically sucker bets and they're not exactly plus EV, but there's some finishing position ones that are fun, that have a boost. So for the show tonight, I told you I'm going to put picks on the show, whether I'm on there or not. In that parlay, that long shot section with Austin Smotherman, I'll have a little finishing position parlay. It'll be very conservative. It'll be 3 top 40s, but it'll be at plus 500 or plus 400 or something like that. So I'll take advantage of that boost and put something out. Hand up. Go ahead, Jeff.
Mike McClure's in the chat. He likes Michigan by 11. So I would take that.
Yes. I wonder if he likes the first half. So we have Berg Bets in the chat. We have Mike McClure in the chat, and we've got Danny Brasco in the chat. There's a lot going on. Let's stay on a couple of extra minutes. He says, Mike McClure says, I make it 83-72 Michigan. Nothing I can get to here, he says. Thought it would I thought I would like Nebraska against the spread before running the sim, but very clearly going to be staying away personally. All right. Well, still, that's a cover, right, Jeff?
That's a cover. We agree.
Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, just one thing I'll point out. Listen, I haven't won a Big Ten basketball game since 1988, so I'll trust Jeff. But somebody in the Discord a couple weeks ago made a pretty good analogy about Nebraska being like the basketball version of Indiana. I remember the last couple of years, a lot of us were betting against Indiana over and over and over. All right, this is where it ends, right? So sometimes when a team like this comes out of nowhere, the numbers can be slow to adjust. That's all I'm going to say. And I don't really have a strong play in this game, but I'm very interested in watching it. Because even if Nebraska loses a tight game tonight at Michigan, because I agree with Jeff, it's a great spot for Michigan, then I think we have to start saying, all right, listen, this team's a lot better than we thought they were going to be.
That I agree with.
Go ahead,
yes.
EC.
Yeah, and I just wanted to ask a kind of a different question here. I put this in the Discord last night. I think as of right now in college basketball, that the Final Four, when it comes down to it in April, will be comprised of the teams currently in the top 10. That there's no team outside the top 10 that will end up in the Final Four. Right now, I have Arizona, Michigan, UConn, and Houston as my Final Four. Would you guys agree with my assessment that, or would you take a team right now outside the top 10 that'll end up in the Final Four?
That's my
I like
exact
your
Final
teams.
Four if it
Yeah.
was today. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about, to that end, Tom and Jeff, is there somebody on the outside looking in that has some, what might be longer outright odds that you'd be like, oh, if I was going to take a chance on a team, this would be the team I'd take a chance on?
Yeah, I think more than ever, it's going to depend on where you're seated and what the path is, right? I'm of the belief, I know some people are going to disagree with this because of what happened. I don't know how many Cinderellas we're going to see anymore. I think the way college basketball has changed, when you look at these teams that won a couple games or made runs in the tournament, they were veteran teams. They were kids who were together for 3 years. We don't have that anymore at places like St. Peter's and VCU. So I know a lot of people like St. Louis. Maybe they're one that if they get hot in the tournament, but I just don't know if we're going to see those magical runs with the changes in college sports right now.
Jeff?
Yeah, I agree with Tom. St. Louis could be a nice sleeper, but like Tom said, I think it's top heavy this year.
Yeah, and maybe maybe next year and the year after that and the year after that too, with the structural changes. Go ahead, EC.
There was a stat that I put in the Discord last night that I found on X where it's like the top 10 teams have like a combined 19 losses heading into this week, and the next closest over the last several years was like 30 something. I'd have to remember what it is, but like the top 10 are so much better than we've seen in recent years. So that's why it is going to be top heavy. McClure just said the same thing in the chat, that he agrees. The days of the Cinderella gone, and you know what? I'm okay with it.
I mean,
let me see.
Here comes like a back in my day, a la Greg Cody, where I want to talk about like the George Mason runs, and we talk about VCU, but even prior to that, George Mason, I believe, those were some fun runs, and I think it's sad that we don't get to see that anymore, but that's just the way it is. Real quick, Berg Bet, so I'm trying to catch up with the chat. The chat has been absolutely legendary. I think it was Jim Everett that mentioned that. Sox Nation also put his Final Four in the chat. Put your Final Four in the chat or in the YouTube comments if you're listening to this show after the fact, but Berg Bet says, and this might be one of maybe 3 or 4 things he said in the chat, I'm not really sure. He said UVA should smash Notre Dame. Tom, I'll go to you. Did you look at that one?
Yeah, well, I don't love my kids as much as Berg loves Virginia, so we know that. That's he's a Virginia guy. No, man, this game is tailor-made for Virginia. They're coming off that loss to North Carolina, and they're playing a team that doesn't score. So they're going to put the vice grip defense on them. I don't love laying that many points on the road in conference play, but if I had to pick it, I would pick Virginia. I think they win that pretty easily.
Jeff, any thoughts?
Yeah, Tom nailed it. I don't like laying that many points on the road either, but I can only look that way for sure.
All right. People putting their Final Fours in the chat. Hand up if I missed anything. Otherwise, we can get to the recap screen. Go ahead, EC.
Yeah, one more thing. One other piece of college basketball advice. When some say Purdue, I say Purdon't, because they cost me a big parlay the other day, a big one, and I'm done with them. I don't trust Matt Painter in the tournament. He had Zach Edey the other year, got to the finals. I'm out on Purdue, and I would look at Indiana tonight. I'm not saying they're going to win outright, but I'm done backing Purdue. I've seen enough of them. Absolute frauds.
Well, what happens, EC, is when you have like 5 and 6 leg parlays, somebody is going to end up getting blacklisted because those never hit. There's always going to be a team that doesn't hit for you.
Sia, I was 4 for 4. It was the last leg, and Purdue is at home against Illinois, who's missing their point guard, and there's no excuse, and they allow a freshman to score 46. Unbelievably awful.
Yeah, that's a 5-leg parlay, though. So, I mean, you kind of deserved it, is all I'm saying. Let's get to the recap screen. I could stay here all day, and we could all just interact with the chat because you guys and girls are incredibly awesome. Let's talk about my picks. Again, when I put outrights on here, they're really kind of like early looks to the early wedge. So this one is quite the long shot. It's Austin Smotherman at 165-1 without the big 5. That big 5, as a reminder, is Ludwig, Xander, Siwoo, Cantley, and Cam Young, who is starting off his year this week. We go to college basketball. Alabama -10.5 at -110, says Tom Casale. He also likes Hunter Henry over 37.5 receiving yards at -111. And oh, by the way, we've got another Hunter Henry pick. Hunter Henry over 3.5 catches -104 from Larry Hartstein. And Larry also likes tonight Keyshawn George under 2.5 3-pointers at -146. Back to college basketball. Michigan -10.5 at -105. And then EC, Northwestern State, Stephen F. Austin over 143.5 at -110. Don't forget that one starts at 4 o'clock. And also we've got a money line parlay, UCF, Kent State, and UIC, Illinois, Chicago at even money. All right, let's take a look at the SportsLine picks. A lot of picks for a Talkback Tuesday. Kenrick Williams over 15.5 points and rebounds -115. That one courtesy of Prop Bet Guy. And the Florida Panthers money line, back to the NHL, -145. That one from Matt Severance. Wow, what an incredible show. This Talkback Tuesday is always fun. It's always incredibly interactive. But guess what, ladies and gentlemen? We're here for you every single day. Do not forget to catch the sports on SportsLine tonight at 7 o'clock to catch the early wedge. And if you haven't already signed up for the Splash Sports contest, we still have some time because it doesn't start until the Waste Management Phoenix Open. But I'm telling you, even if you're not a golf person, the one and done is so easy and it's so fun, and you can luck your way into EC. Isn't it true? Like, you don't have to be a golf guru to be good at one and done. It's laid out for you. You just push a button, pick a golfer week to week, and all of a sudden you can hit a couple of big ones and you're like in 5th place out of 1,000 people. Like you don't have to be a golf guru, right?
If you hit 4 or 5 winners this year, you could win the grand prize, which is, I believe, $1,000 that Splash Sports is giving away. So, and I guaranteed Sia that I will finish in the top 25%. I know you'll beat me in everything DFS, but I will get you this year in the one and done.
What I missed that. What is the ramification of not finishing in the top?
We haven't decided that yet. And that is up to the chat. And put it in the YouTube comments, put it in the chat, but particularly the YouTube comments so I can go back in and look at it. Find a way to get your ramifications out there, because EC has not once, not twice, but now 3 times guaranteed that he's going to finish inside the top 25% in this contest. And guess what? The more people we get in this, the less likely it is statistically that EC will finish inside the top 25%. So I'm looking at you, Sox Nation. I'm looking at you, Gippers Picks. Jen, Danny Brasco, Berg Bets, Brad Morris, Larry Hartstein also in the chat. I'm looking at all of you. Joe Dollar, splashsports.com/wedge. Again, splashsports.com/wedge. You're probably already in the app, so you might not even need to click the link. You can just go in the app and search CBS Sports, and CBS Sports Commission will pop up, and you'll see all our contests, our NFL contests, and of course, this one and done, which again starts in a week and a half. But get in there right now. Larry, you had some follow-up.
Sia, I'm not much of a golf guy, but now I am going to get in this contest.
You have to. It's
motivated.
You all don't understand what this is. It's like filling out a bracket for March Madness. It's very easy and it's very fun. And just like March Madness, you got like the seedings and stuff. It is very user friendly. Like you see all the good players at the top. That it's structured like that. So every week you go in there for 10 seconds and you literally just pick a golfer and you're done. It's so fun. Even if you're not a golf person, you got to get in there. Do it right now. Splashsports.com/wedge. Jeff, go ahead.
Sorry, real quick. I just wanted to say that early wedge show is fantastic. The name is great. EC, Sia, I think it's Sobel, one other guy you had on there.
Patrick
You guys
McDonald.
do such a great job with that show. I watch it every week now, and hopefully it will help me with that Splash Sports contest. But great job. Great job.
Thank you. And I want to say, we will not be as cultured on the show without Sia tonight. who, brings up, Patrick is still stuck. He's the newer generation. So Sia has to educate him and me sometimes.
Man, I'll
as
tell you
well.
what.
So we'll miss you tonight. Yeah.
Last week, I hit that first round leader in one of the 3 courses. I hit both of my finishing positions, and I hit the one tournament matchup I had on the show, and of course went 2 for 3 on round matchups. So we're starting to ramp up this golf thing, and we're going to have more and more golf picks, not only on the early wedge, but also, of course, on the early edge. Jeff, last word.
And Bridgman had a good run for us at 80-1. I posted in the Discord. I'm with Sia. I got to support him. He gave us a good run. He did.
$12,000 on the line, and all he needed to do was be maybe 1 or 2 under on the par 5s on Saturday, and he would have been within 2 shots of the lead. And instead, he played those 4 par 5s at 1 over, which was really shocking given how well he was playing and the easy course that he was on. And that's what happens when you're backing an 80, 100 to 1 shot. But I'll tell you what, for a moment there, I was like, oh, this is definitely extremely in play, and we just had a round to go.
Sia,
especially after round 1.
2 weeks in a row. Harry Hall in Hawaii, Siwoo Kim last week for me and I can't cash anything. I'm having a bad run. I mean, Siwoo hits it out of a bunker like I do. It's horrible. What do you think?
He's not going to
no bet list worthy.
Siwoo's not going to win. All right, let's get out of here. Go ahead, Larry. Go ahead.
Sorry, Sia, to keep delaying your ending, but Nicholas L. leads our playoff contest. He's in position to win $1,500 in the Splash Sports. A lot of people are 10-2 ATS in the playoffs, but
Amazing.
I guess because of his best bet, he has the edge right now going into the Super Bowl. He's the only person with 23 points, and then a bunch of people behind him at 22.
Yeah, get that final pick in. And again, we forget, like when we talk about the early wedge contest, we forget like there's actual, I know you said it, EC, there's actually like real money on the line. You're paying out, I think the top 35 and the one and done, I can't remember, maybe top 50, but it's 1,000 to first place, 800. And then of course this football contest, I think even has more to first place. So really good stuff. Thank you, chat. Thank you, EC, Jeff Hochman, Tom Casale, Larry Hartstein. Of course, thank you, Ben, on the 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s. And Ben, don't think you're getting away with not getting in this Splash Sports contest either. Everybody on this screen needs to be in it. Everybody in the chat needs to be in it. One last promo. It's not one last for now because we got a week and a half to fill this thing. splashsports.com/wedge. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great Tuesday. Next time I see you, hopefully I'll be in sunny South Florida coming from the studio for the early edge tomorrow morning. So wish me luck on that. EC, have fun on the early wedge tonight. We'll see you next time, folks. We rest our case.